Okay, so like imagine this, right?
Yeah.
You're filling up your tank and the price is like way higher than usual, right? And you're like, what gives? Well, it might actually be connected to something happening like halfway across the world.
Yeah, exactly. And today we're going to be diving deep into that kind of thing. We're going to see how recent events in Yemen are impacting, well, everything, basically. Global markets, economies, even stuff that like hits your wallet directly.
Exactly. So like everyone knows about the conflict in the Middle East, right? But how does that actually translate to, me standing here at the gas station?
Well, it all starts with the Houthis. They're this group aligned with Iran, and they've been, causing trouble in the Red Sea.
The Red Sea. Yeah, that's like a super important shipping route, right?
Yeah.
Especially for oil.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. A vital artery for global trade, and the Houthis have been attacking oil tankers there.
So they're trying to disrupt the flow of oil, basically.
Yeah, pretty much it's a strategic move to create uncertainty in the market, and you know what happens when the market gets uncertain.
Prices go up.
Bingo. And we've already seen that happen. Both Brent crude, that's the international benchmark, and WTI, the US benchmark, they both jumped up in response to these attacks.
So that's like an immediate impact, right? Just from this conflict.
Yeah, exactly. It's a knee-jerk reaction to instability.
Okay, so we've got the conflict affecting oil prices, but it's not happening in a vacuum, right? There's other stuff going on in the world that's adding to this whole mix.
Oh, absolutely. There are always so many moving parts right now. One of the big ones is China.
China. Yeah, they're always doing something interesting economically speaking.
Well, economy's huge, right?
Right.
And it's kind of like a giant ship trying to turn around. On one hand, we're seeing a slowdown in their industrial output, which is usually a sign that things are, slowing down.
Right.
But on the other hand,
On the other hand, their retail sales are actually picking up a little bit.
so it's like they're trying to shift gears a little bit.
Exactly. They're trying to move away from relying so much on exports and manufacturing and move more towards an economy driven by domestic consumption. And that's where their special action plan comes in.
Right. Right. This plan is basically a bunch of measures designed to encourage people in China to, spend more money.
Like tax breaks and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Tax breaks, incentives for buying certain goods, even infrastructure projects that are meant to boost consumer confidence. It's a gamble, though.
Especially with all the trade tensions with the U.S. right now.
Oh, yeah. Those tariffs are like a huge wild card in the global economy. Nobody really knows what the long-term impact is going to be, but it's definitely making a lot of people nervous.
Nervous enough to like change their predictions about the future.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Analysts at Goldman Sachs, they've actually lowered their oil price forecasts for the rest of the year.
Really? Because of the tariffs.
Yeah, they're worried that the trade war could slow down U.S. economic growth, and that would have a ripple effect on everything.
Okay, so explain this to me. How do tariffs in the U.S. end up affecting oil prices globally?
It all comes down to demand. If the
Oh,
U.S. economy slows down because of the tariffs, then American businesses and consumers are going to buy less stuff.
including oil.
Exactly. And when demand goes down, prices tend to follow, even if there are disruptions to supply, like what we're seeing in the Red Sea.
So it's like a tug of war, right?
Yeah.
You've got this conflict in Yemen pushing prices up, and then you've got these economic factors that could push them down.
Yeah, it's a complicated situation, and it's making people anxious, especially here in the U.S.
Yeah, I bet. Especially with all the talk about inflation.
Right. Consumer sentiment is way down. People are worried about prices going up on everything from groceries to gas.
And it's not just the tariffs, right? There's also the Federal Reserve they're meeting next week to decide whether to raise interest rates.
And that's a huge decision. Raising rates could help to curb inflation, but it could also slow down economic growth even more.
So they're in a tough spot.
Absolutely. Whatever they decide is going to have ripple effects throughout the global economy.
Okay, so let's bring this all back to our listeners. We've got geopolitical tensions in Yemen, disrupting oil supply, China trying to rebalance its economy trade wars, creating uncertainty, and anxious consumers here in the U.S. facing potential price hikes. That's a lot to take in.
It is, yeah. And it all kind of connects together in this big, complicated web.
So what can people do? Like, how can they make sense of all this and maybe even make some decisions based on what's happening?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The best thing you can do is stay informed, try to understand the different factors that are driving these trends, and then think about how those global events could impact your own personal or financial decisions.
That's good advice, and it's a good reminder that everything is connected in some way.
Yeah, exactly what happens on one side of the world can definitely have an impact on the other side.
Well said. Thanks for helping us connect the dots and dive deep into these issues.
My pleasure. Always happy to talk about this stuff.
Until next time, everyone, keep learning and stay curious.